I've spent the last 21 days with the OnePlus 15, and comparing it to the Galaxy S25 Ultra makes so much sense because these two phones are the most spec'd out devices in 2025. And in my days with them, I have noticed sort of a controversial choice that both phones made that many people are not going to be happy with. We all know both phones are already good, so the real question is, which compromise should you spend your money on? Let's find out. So the first big compromise on the OnePlus 15 is going to be the display. At least that is what everybody is going to be talking about. Resolution wise, I think the OnePlus 15 is a flagship worthy phone. You get an LTPO AMOLED always on display, up to 1800 nits of peak brightness and 6000 nits in HDR scenes, and perfectly uniform bezels on all sides. But OnePlus has downgraded to a 1.5K resolution from a QHD Plus that was seen on the OnePlus 13. The trade-off here is you get a 165Hz refresh rate instead of 120, which is a pretty big deal, the highest ever on an OLED smartphone in 2025. In fact, OnePlus says this is a necessary compromise because a 2K resolution at 160Hz is not yet technically feasible. And that's fair enough, and since the screen is a little smaller this year, 6.8 inches, that 1.5K still gives you about 450 pixels per inch, roughly the same sharpness as the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Anything above 400 pixels per inch is what experts call retina grade clarity, so no, you're not really losing much. Samsung, on the other hand, sticks with a QHD Plus display at 498 pixels per inch. Text on the screen looks crispier than the OnePlus 15, so if you do a lot of reading, that's something to consider. But you're capped at 120Hz refresh rates, which is still the industry standard, so this is not really a disadvantage. They also finally killed the curved display everyone complained about and also shrunk the bezels to fit a 6.9-inch screen into basically the same footprint as last year's 6.8-inch model. You get a 2600 nits of peak brightness, and optimized with the anti-reflective coating, this thing is plenty bright and there's absolutely no zero glare at any time. Overall, these are beautiful displays on both devices, but you're going to have to choose between ultra smooth and ultra crispy. If you are someone who is particular about the pixels on your display or you consume a lot of high resolution content, then the S25 Ultra is your guy. But if you're a gamer or video editor who needs that extra snappiness, OnePlus delivers a better experience on that front. Another big point of controversy this year is the design, especially with the OnePlus 15. OnePlus removed the distinctive camera design from the OnePlus 13 for a more compact, more generic camera design. I don't exactly hate it, but I genuinely don't understand why you would want to blend in when something else was making you stand out and was working well. This design is a safe choice, and safe is boring. And speaking of safe, the new camera design is not. After about a month, I am beginning to see some wear and tear around the edges of the camera design. It has never dropped on the floor, so this is surprising and absolutely disappointing at the same time. They also removed the alert slider, a move that has angered long-time OnePlus fans, and replaced it with a plus key. And just like the iPhone, you can map it to anything you like the camera, flashlight, and yes, ring or vibrate. I map mine to always launch my camera, and I like that you get more functionality out of this, but I still will prefer an alert slider any given day. Now, on the flip side, you get a full set of IP ratings on the OnePlus 15 this year, up to IP69K, which means this thing can handle dust, water immersion, even high pressure water jets. Overkill, but it's still a plus. The front is super flat, it has flat edges, a flat display, and it genuinely feels like a premium phone thanks to those uniform bezels. And to me, it feels better in my hand than the OnePlus 13, partly because it's smaller, partly because of the matte finish on this Infinity Black model. You also get ultraviolet and sandstorm if black isn't your thing. Meanwhile, Samsung refined rather than reinvented. You get a titanium frame, Gorilla Glass armor on the front, Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the back, and a 6.9-inch flat display in a familiar design. But they removed Bluetooth from the S Pen. So no more air gestures, no more remote shutter, no presentation clicker, just a stylus. At least Samsung gives you more color options, 7 in total, though some of them are website exclusive. So OnePlus played it safe and lost some of their identity, while the S25 Ultra is more or less refined find over and over again. And if I had to choose between these two in terms of design, it would definitely be the S25 Ultra. Performance is where things get interesting because both phones are lightning fast, but to different degrees. Samsung went with the industry standard Snapdragon 8 Elite, which is the same chip you find in most flagships on Android phones in 2025, and it is a workhorse. Of course, it handles the everyday stuff without breaking a sweat, but if you push it hard enough, long-term gaming sessions, heavy multitasking, sustained workloads, it starts to warm up just a bit. It's not uncomfortably hot, but warm enough that you notice something that is throttling. OnePlus, on the other hand, went with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, which is the successor to the chip in the S25 Ultra. And it is the first Android phone in 2025 to have this chip. In my everyday use, I haven't noticed any major differences between this and the S25 Ultra, but with the heavier stuff, it really is miles ahead. One is, it is more efficient under sustained pressure, and that is intentional. OnePlus is marketing this as a performance-first device. So with compatible FPS games like Call of Duty, PUBG, Genshin Impact, you really feel the 165Hz refresh rate upgrade, the responses are lightning fast, motion is impossibly fluid, and most of all, it maintains that performance for an extended period of time. OnePlus has also included what they call a 360-degree cryovelocity cooling system. Basically, this is a massive 3D vapor chamber designed to keep temperatures down during intense use, which means the OnePlus 15 sustains high performance for a longer period of time without throttling. You can game for hours and it just stays cool. Samsung does have a cooling system, but it is not that aggressive. Now the S25 Ultra gets warm under sustained load and eventually it backs off to protect itself. Both phones have 12 gigs of RAM, which is pretty standard, with the option to jump to 16 gigs if you need it. So performance wise, both phones are incredibly powerful, but if I had to choose one, Okay, this is another aspect of the review. This just fell for the first time and there is a big scratch at the back of the phone. Bro, what? Oh my days, man. Performance-wise, both phones are obviously powerful, but if I had to choose one, it'll be the OnePlus 15 because for heavy users, this thing will sustain your performance for a very long time. Alright, with the cameras, you begin to notice the real compromises on this phone, and it is very disappointing what OnePlus did. It's still the same 50 megapixel triple camera setup as the OnePlus 13, but the aperture is slower, the sensors are smaller, and the results show for it. The detail isn't quite the level of the OnePlus 13, and low light performance has taken a huge hit. At least the 32 megapixel selfie camera is an upgrade. It has a larger sensor, autofocus, and 4K recording at 60 frames per second. They also killed the Hasselblad partnership, so no more Hasselblad color science. They switched to Oppo's Lumo imaging system, or Detail Max, and it makes sense considering their merger with the company, but it is a different approach to computational photography. With some tweaking, pictures do end up looking decent, but I'm still getting used to this new feel. So the question that I keep coming back to is, why is OnePlus more or less destroying everything that made them distinctive? I'm going to be digging into that in my full review, so make sure you subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss that. Now with the S25 Ultra, this phone is leagues ahead. You're getting a 200 megapixel sensor that captures a lot of detail, a 50 megapixel ultra wide sensor with autofocus that is finally useful for macro pictures, a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto lens, and a 50 megapixel 5x periscope lens that gives you incredible reach, and a 12 megapixel selfie camera that is decent in good lighting conditions. And it is exactly the same hardware from the S24 Ultra, which you already know is one of the best camera systems in the game. The difference between these two phones when it comes to the camera is like night and day. If you're a content creator that cares about photography or even care about video, because video is also very important, then the S25 Ultra is definitely what you should get. Now when it comes to the battery life, this is where OnePlus did not compromise at all, because you're getting a stupid 7,300 milliamp hours of battery, and that is from the 6,000 milliamp hours of battery that was seen on the OnePlus 13. And of course, you're going to need that extra power to support the higher refresh rates and the monster chip that is in this phone. And despite all that, it's smaller and lighter than the OnePlus 13, and that is an advantage of the silicon battery tech. That's why the OnePlus 15 can support 120 watts of wired charging and 50 watts of wireless charging with their recommended chargers. In comparison, Samsung has 5,000 milliamp hours of battery that they've used for the last 2 years, same with the 45 watt charging. On paper, that sounds like a massive downgrade next to OnePlus, but because Samsung's battery is significantly smaller, the real-world charging gap isn't as dramatic as you think. If you're looking for a phone for the long haul and you want some real assurances of durability, then the OnePlus 15 pulls ahead in this category. So at the end of all this, neither are complete flagships per se. OnePlus traded resolution, camera quality, and that Hasselblad partnership for pure performance, battery, and smoothness. Samsung gave up Bluetooth on the S Pen and played it safe with its hardware, but kept polish, reliability, and support. The OnePlus 15 starts at $799 to $899, while the S25 Ultra starts at $1299. And for that price difference, I think the OnePlus 15 gives you more bang for your buck, and even though the camera isn't exactly the best, you might want to give this a try. So which one will it be for you guys? Which imperfection can you deal with? Comment down below and let me know. And if you made it this far, thank you very much, as I really appreciate your time. And with all that being said, my name is KJ, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.